You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
Welcome back for another issue of Imagine If. This week we are continuing our time travel story. Last week we told you about a story from DC Comics called The Greatest Hero of Them All, which apparently ended up being Superboy. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yep. Yeah, the final story of the adventures of Superman as a boy, basically.
This week, we were going to challenge ourselves to cast that same story in the Marvel Universe and see how it is that would play out. Chris and I both have a separate story, and we are here to tell you about it. But, as always, before, we are going to talk about what is new on the spinner rack this week for New Comic Book Day. Chris, take it away.
All right, fans, this Tuesday from DC Comics, you will have the newest issue of Action Comics 1032, which features a guest appearance by Aquaman. So if you want to see the crazy new adventures that Philip Kennedy Johnson is putting the Man of Steel through, definitely check it out. It's been nothing but good stuff, so that's great to hear. Batman Fortnite 0 Point Issue 3 is getting a second printing. That's right, Batman Fortnite. It's a license to print money. We will be getting a brand new miniseries, Batman Reptilian, featuring the art by Liam Sharp. So Garth Ennis and Liam Sharp are teaming up to give us, I imagine, a Killer Croc story. So that should be interesting.
That's what I was going to...
be falling under the... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's what I was going to ask. Is Reptilian? Does that mean it's a Killer Croc story? And then, yeah, you were about to say this is a Black Label comic. So once again, as Black Label goes... At this point, when it's being created, the story is not part of continuity. But if it is cool enough and people enjoy it enough, it could become part of regular continuity. But then again, DC is doing a thing where it's like, we don't need continuity anymore. We had that whole Crisis on Infinite Earths, made everything in one world, decided that wasn't cool anymore. We're going to make everything multiple.
Yep, exactly. If you ask a question about continuity, the question is always going to be yes, with a question mark at the end. Let's see. We're pulling up the official description. So the book is described as what strikes fear into the hearts of those who terrorize Gotham. It used to be Batman, but something far more frightening than a mere man stalks the shadows. And it's after Gotham's villains. How savage must a monster be to haunt the dreams of monsters?
Oh, so it's new character
maybe
altogether.
It is Killer Croc, maybe it isn't. Not too sure. But yeah, you take Liam Sharp's crazy imagination, toss it in with the wicked thoughts of Garth Ennis, and put it under the Black Label. Yeah, you're going to have something twisted there. So this is definitely not the book you want your kids reading. Let's see. Yeah, and actually, I'm kind of cheating here. Looking at the Bill Sienkiewicz variant cover, it definitely looks like it is teasing some Killer Croc action, which would make sense. I mean, he's been a villain who's been featured in a movie, so it's not too far-fetched that he should get some action.
Yeah, I mean, but him becoming a hero, or at least going against other villains, seems interesting. So,
yeah. Well, there you go. That's how he figures out he'll get higher up on the food chain that way. Because I like this the Cully Hammer variant. So we see all the movie characters basically. Poison Ivy with her eyes red plussed out, X'd out. Mr. Freeze, Two-Face, Catwoman, Penguin, Joker. We see a little bit of hint of the Riddler. So yeah, that features all the Joel Schumacher. Christopher Nolan villains, so it's like, hey, so however, Killer Croc is like, I want a movie.
in that cover, Batman himself has reptilian eyes, so it makes me think maybe whatever it is that changed Killer Croc is being used to change Batman. Maybe he's doing like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing.
Definitely looks that way. So it's going to be interesting to see what their catch is going to be for this story. So we'll have to follow up with that.
Oh my goodness,
let's
the
see.
cover on this next one you're about to talk about, that that has me intrigued.
Yes, okay, so Batman Superman issue 19. Ivan Reis and Jean Lun Yang have teamed up, and yeah, we're going to see the adventures of Cowboy Batman and Cowboy Superman. So it looks pretty wild. Honestly, I would have to say, Mitch, with your love of movies, I think this current run by Gene would be perfect for you, because since he's gotten on the book, he's definitely homaged the golden ages of Superman and Batman, but not just in comic book form, but in like TV movie format as well. So it's kind of traveling along through a cinematic phase, a television phase of Batman and Superman as they're moving through time. So I don't know if it's them actually moving through time, or if it's like, yeah, here's the Superman and Batman of Cowboy era, or whatever the case may be. So it's definitely interesting. The sad news, though, I did find out with our recent release of DC Solicits that this series is coming to an end. So maybe this will just be one of those trade paperbacks to pick up to check out the adventure. But if you want to give Gene and company some love, definitely pick up these issues before it ends. Then we have the big one. Checkmate is back. That's right. Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Mavlev have brought back the Checkmate group. This time we are featuring Director Bones, Manhunter, Lois Lane, Green Arrow for some reason. And I think this even prompted me to text you. I was just in such a weird, mind-blown idea. Like, wait, here's this think tank of all the greatest spies: Lois Lane, The Question, Damien, Steve Trevor, Manhunter, Bones, and Talia. And for some reason, oh yeah, let's put Ollie in there. And I'm like, I don't think Ollie is he doesn't have the temperament to figure something out. He's just like, I'm gonna fire a boxing glove at it because I'm that upset. So yeah, so this will be interesting. This spins out of Leviathan, so Bendis's big opus in the DC universe. So if you want to catch some of the new stuff there, definitely check it out. And there's a new character, Damian Rose. So this should be interesting to learn about what's going on with Damian as he hunts down Lois Lane. So that means some Superman action will be involved. There is a nice Matt Taylor variant cover, so I thought this would definitely be pretty cool for you, Mitch. This Green Arrow, I don't know, being analyzed, or
oh yeah,
it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there you go. You got two covers to pick up this week, buddy. More to come on that in a second. So we've got moving along. Detective Comics 1038. Huntress, the Helena Wayne version, will definitely be playing up a lot of new story arcs here. So definitely check this out, because there's going to be a lot of plans for her later on in the year. Harley Quinn issue 4 will be out as we see the lovable laughing lady take up Solomon Grundy. So that should be interesting to see. And if you're collecting, Chris Anka will be providing a Pride Month cardstock variant, so definitely check that out. The big moment is here, Infinite Frontier. So Joshua Williamson will be teaming up with artist Zermanico, and they'll be exploring the Omniverse, or whatever it is they're calling it. I forget, but this is going to be huge. And I will say this, I did a sneak peek. I didn't write the review on this one, but I did a sneak peek of this issue. Roy Harper fans, pick it up.
Ooh.
Pick it up. Yeah. Green Lantern fans, pick it up if you're invested in the emotional spectrum. Maybe I've said too much. Maybe I haven't said enough. But I'm looking forward to this book, so I hope Joshua Williamson definitely sticks the landing, because I think there's a lot of cool stuff that can be played here. Justice League issue 63 will be out. Brian Michael Bendis and Ram V will be taking the League on some extraordinary adventures. And as we can see on this cover, it looks like Black Adam will have to be proving himself as he's chained up, and we're going to be exploring why the League is looking at him and Naomi for potential membership.
Nice.
Mr. Miracle, The Source of Freedom issue 2 will be out. So the adventures of Shiloh Norman will be going on as he tackles the legacy of Mr. Miracle, because he is actually the third Mr. Miracle, and Scott Free is actually the second Mr. Miracle. So we'll be exploring those two heritage and how it weighs on the young man. Robin, issue 3 will be out, so a lot of people have been loving this Fight Club Island that's been going on, and there's a special cover B variant by Francis Manipul, the cardstock variant, which has a big return of a character that Mitch loves. So Connor Hawk is back.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that is something else. This is what's something that's refreshing about DC Infinite Frontier, characters coming back. Like, I can appreciate the New 52. I always think of Rafa when we talk about it, because I think you might have felt the same way. Maybe I'm overstepping here, but that kind of felt like a good moment to exit DC Comics. You know, it was just like, okay, everything that I've been reading came to a stop. It's not all connected anymore. Who knows what's what? Everything was big. Then it really shrank down. Like I've talked to you before, you know, the Flash family was huge. Barry Allen came back, and then it got reduced to just Barry. Luckily, the Green Lanterns were rolling high at that point due to the emotional spectrum, but the Superman family got hammered hard. Luckily, the Bat family survived, but some of the characters went missing. Luckily, with Rebirth and now Infinite Frontier, we're getting more characters back. So I'm always excited to see that, because you may call him Green Arrow, you might call him Connor Hawk, but no matter what, there is a fan out there who loves that character.
Mm-hmm.
And DC, thank you for embracing legacy, because it's important. So I'm so glad to see that that's happening. All right, enough of that sentimental BS. Moving along, Ruby, the cartoon, will be teaming up with the Justice League. So if you want to check that out, issue 3 will be out on the stands for the physical print ones. Superman issue 32 will be out. So Philip Kennedy Johnson has 2 times the Superman action. So we get to see Superman and his son go on adventures. Teen Titans Academy number 4 will be out as we get to explore who Red X is and discover more information. And again, if you're collecting variant covers, there will be a Pride Month variant for issue 4. Wonder Woman Black and Gold number 1 will be out. That's right. It worked for Batman with black and white. It worked for Superman with red and blue. So now Wonder Woman is going to get the black and gold treatment. And you know what? I got to say, I am liking the colors from these. Being on Twitter, I've seen a couple of the artists post some artwork. It looks good. The gold pops nicely on that black and white art. So I think this is a great color combo.
Very nice.
So if you had to pitch Green Arrow as a color book, what are your 2 colors?
I mean, it sounds like you have to have black as one of them, so it's black and green, no?
Yeah, that could work. Black, white, and green. That wouldn't play too bad.
Yeah.
You'd have to put blonde in there just because I want that goatee to pop all the time.
I love it. That way you could also have Black Canary in the book with her blonde hair.
Hey, there you go. Everybody wins.
Black, white, and blonde.
Yep. Let's see, moving along. Wonder Woman issue 774 will be out, so we're getting close to 775. And fans, because I know there's more than just me, Deadman made an appearance in issue 773, so there's hope that he will be playing more in this storyline. When it comes to collected editions, DC through the 80s, The Experiments hardcover will be out. So the cover teases Watchmen, Swamp Thing, Dark Knight Returns, Camelot 3000, Ambush Bug, and various others. So it'll be very interesting to see what makes the cut, and I think what will be more exciting will be the essays inside these books, because some of these 80s editors are still alive, and they're going to talk about how they decided to try publishing some wild and crazy ideas back in the 1980s.
Wild and crazy ideas. Sorry.
No, that works. We're going to have to make that a soundbite. I want to use that now every week. Let's see. We've got Future State Justice League being collected as a trade paperback. Green Lantern John Stewart will be getting a celebration of 50 years old. Yes, he's getting up there in age, but he is still one of the best Green Lanterns out there.
Hold up a second.
What's up?
So that Future State, that's just the Justice League book? They don't have the other Future State books that were available at the time?
So they've broken it up into families. I think it basically went Batman, Superman, Justice League, and I could be reaching maybe just Wonder Woman, I forget, but in this book we will get the Justice League 2 issues, the Flash 2 issues, the Green Lantern 2 issues, and the Aquaman 2 issues. So they'll bill it as Justice League so that way they could contain the other characters, because even though they have big families in their books, they don't have a lot of titles being published.
Gotcha.
So that's how they'll play this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, that would be something. Could you imagine some point we could potentially live in a world where Aquaman has 2 titles?
It's never going to happen, but that's okay.
Yeah, probably won't.
I mean, I guess I could see an Aquaman book and a Mira book.
I could see it that way, yeah. Aqua Family,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Let's see. So this is going to be a big one. I highly recommend it. I enjoyed this series. Justice League, the New 52 Omnibus, Volume 1. So Jeff Johns and Jim Lee kicked off the New 52 era with their Justice League number 1, which led to a origin update. So this was the moment we get Cyborg on the team, and this is pretty much kind of the hope for the movie. It got lost in translation, but that's okay because most things do when it comes to DC movies. But this this omnibus will take us all the way from the first arc, basically moving up to the Trinity of Sin. So I think they'll probably get this collection in 2. So if you want to get a great run on Justice League by Jeff Johns, definitely pick this one up. So if you head to your comic shops on Wednesday,
wait,
Amazing Spider. Oh,
a second, just a second, because you were talking about with what was it? Wonder Woman 773 had the appearance of Deadman. I wanted to bring up, since we were having a conversation before we started recording, and so a little behind the scenes, folks. We were talking about the actor Adrian Brody and who he could play in the Marvel universe, but Adrian Brody as Deadman, I think I kind of dig that idea.
I'm not totally against it. I don't feel it, but he would be a good pick for it. I think he's got the body type. The only hard part would be height, because typically acrobats are shorter folks.
Fair.
But I mean, he's got the chops. I think he could give me that angry young man who then eventually finds the joy of life and becomes a happier person for it. So it's not a bad pick.
Okay. I just wanted to bring that up as one of your top characters. How would you feel about Adrian Brody playing the role?
Yeah, that's not too bad. There you go. So hashtag Adrian Brody is dead. We trended it now.
Oh, wow. That's it. It's good. It's going to be a good one.
All right, let's see. So yes, this Wednesday from Marvel Comics, we will be getting Amazing Spider-Man issue 69. So the Sinister War is going on right now, and also, I don't know if people are going to be excited about this or not, and I don't mean to sound too cruel to Nick Spencer, but Nick Spencer will be leaving the Amazing Spider-Man book, so it'll be interesting to see who they will announce as the next creative team. And I believe with the legacy numbers, we'll also be approaching a giant anniversary issue as well, maybe 750. So, but he's been on the book for quite a while, so it'll be very interesting to see how he wraps it up.
Can I also ask you a question? After Steve Ditko, do you think of Mark Bagley or Badgley, however you're supposed to? I think it's supposed to be Bagley as
Bagley,
like the quintessential Spider-Man artist?
Oh yeah, no, I definitely do. But it helps because of the era we grew up in.
True.
Mark Bagley is fast.
Yes.
So he tends to be on a lot of Spider-Man books. And when I say fast, I do not mean that in a disrespectful way. The guy is fast. Like, he produces quality artwork. I mean, he's the only guy I've seen that could probably do a weekly miniseries and ship it on time. But I mean, when I think of the Clone Saga, he's there. Ultimate Spider-Man, I mean, he darn near did every issue. So it's very exciting. So yeah, he's definitely, I mean, I personally, if I even had to choose between a Ditko Spider-Man or a Bagley Spider-Man, I'm going to go Bagley. So, he's way up there in my Hall of Fame Spider-Man artists.
Do you have any other? I mean, obviously Todd McFarlane is a big Spider-Man artist for a lot of people. Do you have any other artist up there that is a quintessential Spider-Man artist?
So I definitely I appreciate John Romita Sr. I think his Peter Parker is definitely kind of one that's definitely stuck in my mind. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of names now, and like my encyclopedia must be low on Wi-Fi because I cannot picture anybody.
I know one of mine is oh man, I just dropped his name. The artist, Humberto Ramos. I always think of his Spider-Man run because that was when I was reading Spider-Man the most, I think. There's also well, I mean, for some people, John Romita Jr. is a big pull, right?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's fine because normally I don't care for his art, but I think with him teaming up with JMS, the writer, that was a great era. So I can make the excuse for it. I can allow it. Let's see, Gil Kane. I was just thinking about that. Gil Kane was actually a big kind of Bronze Age era artist on Spider-Man. He drew the classic, the night Gwen Stacy died. So that was one of his big ones.
Okay.
Ross Andrew, he drew Spider-Man for the big Superman Spider-Man team up. Let's see. It's funny. I pulled up artists, but they still list the writers anyway.
Yeah.
Eric Larson, I forgot he drew some Spider-Man, so there was some stuff there. Oh man, I'm trying to find. It was a specific artist. Sadly, he just passed away. Gosh, I feel like such a jerk. I can't remember his name. Mike Winrengo. He definitely did some good Spider-Man too. He gave it definitely like kind of a cartoony vibe, but still had it proportionate enough that it looked normal. So I enjoyed his version of Peter Parker and Spider-Man as well. Stuart Amonin, he's another artist that is very quick, has great turnarounds, and he did some good Spider-Man stuff. It was kind of, I think he was on it towards the end of Dan Slott's run. So he got to play with a lot of costume design. Because I think that's another big thing that artists want to do when they draw Spider-Man is, hey, we're gonna have to make a figure, or sorry, we're gonna have to make a new costume because we're gonna get a Marvel Legend out of this. So I think that's a big one that's on the top of the list of being Spider-Man artists as well.
Very cool. I just wanted to bring that up because, like, seeing Mark Bagley doing that current run of Spider-Man just brought up, like, I always see his name associated with Spider-Man, so obviously other people enjoy his work just as much as I do.
Yeah, here we go. I finally found it. Tom Lyle.
Tom Lyle, okay.
Tom Lyle was the artist. Yeah, he's definitely very much that mid-90s Clone Saga era, so I definitely appreciated him. And I also forgot too, because then they pulled up another variant, but J. Scott Campbell, he can draw a pretty good Spider-Man as well.
This is true, yeah.
He did a lot of cover work mostly. Yeah. Gosh, I'll have to explore a lot of those covers later, but that's a good question. We'll have, maybe that should be a list we should look at sometime.
I like it.
All right, well, let's see. Moving along. Captain Marvel issue 29 is out, and that's right, the surprise hookup, Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange.
Ooh.
They had a one-night stand, so we're going to be exploring some of the fallout in that regard. So that'll be very interesting to see how it plays. Fantastic Four Life Story number 2 will be out. So while it's not credited as an official What If, I still have this fall under the category. So this is what if the Fantastic Four aged in real time? So back in 1961 when they appeared, what if they lived out their days in those eras? Sadly, this does not tie into Spider-Man Life Story, which I feel is a missed connection that they could have done, because I would love to see Marvel Life Story and see how the Marvel Universe itself plays out in this timeline. Gamma Flight number 1 will be out. So as we were talking about last week, yep, Alpha Flight, it's just not powerful enough, so they've got to find ways to play with those Greek letters to make it go. And so this one definitely seems very Hulk-themed to have the team going after, I don't know, gamma-irradiated menaces. We will also be having Guardians of the Galaxy issue 15, which will be leading us towards the next Annihilation, so definitely keep your eyes out there. Heroes Return #1 will be out. That's right. Jason Aaron's Opus 2 Heroes Reborn will be coming to a conclusion. So the Avengers are back, but we haven't won the war yet. So it'll be interesting to see how they stop the Squadron Supreme of America and restore the timeline as to what it should have been. Boy, it's interesting. Marvel is really playing a lot with timelines.
I wonder why.
Let's see. Also, in recognition of Pride Month, Marvel Voices will be doing Marvel Voices Pride. So this will be featuring a lot of characters from the community. So there's some great covers out there. You've got a team cover, you've got a America Chavez cover, and you've got a Hulkling Wiccan cover as well. And I'm not too sure what 2 characters are on this cover D, but Chris Anka will be drawing some more. Cover E will feature the upcoming new Captain America. So this might be an issue that is going to be contentious because the character should be appearing first in the United States of Captain America, but it looks like he might be making his first appearance here in Marvel Voices. So if you're on the hunt for a brand new character first appearance, that definitely might be a book to check out. And they've got enough variant covers to take us all the way to the letter M.
Ooh, wow.
This month's cover is brought to you by the letter M. Reptile is back in his own little series, so definitely if you want to support the boy who can turn into dinosaurs, definitely check this out. Sword issue 6 will be out, and as we saw from Planet Size X-Men, there was a huge revelation, so we'll definitely be seeing some of the fallout from the Hellfire Gala. Silk issue 4 will be out, continuing the adventures of Cindy Moon. We've got Web, W-E-B, of Spider-Man, #2 out as well, if you want to explore more of the science side of Spider-Man. Way of X issue 3 will be out, and I can't look at Nightcrawler the same anymore.
Yeah, no, you can't. That image was going around the internet this week.
Yeah, so maybe we'll tell you about that. Let's see. Wolverine issue 13 will be out, which also ties into the Hellfire Gala. We also then have X-Men Legends #4 with Luis and Walt Simonson coming back to the classic X Factor. So if you want to revisit those mid-'80s days, definitely check it out. As for collected editions, King in Black Return of the Valkyries will be getting collected in trade. Marvel Masterworks will be collecting Uncanny X-Men Volume 13. And I'm so excited about this because now I no longer have to buy Uncanny X-Men Masterworks anymore. I've been collecting these things since they were $50. Now they've jumped up to the $100 mark. Holy moly, that is a price. But this takes me to issue 199, which is the last Cyclops issue of Uncanny X-Men, where him and Storm have the big duel. Actually, I think it's 201. And fun little trivia fact about issue 201, this is where we first meet Cyclops' baby son. So a lot of people try to argue that that should be considered the first appearance of Cable. So it's tough because at the time, I don't think they were thinking of him as Cable, but technically it is. So wild stuff there. Miles Morales' Ultimate End graphic novel will be produced. Silk Out of the Spider-Verse Volume 2. U.S. Agent American Zealot will be collecting the recent Christopher Priest series in trade paperback. And then X-Men Epic Collection Volume 19, Mutant Genesis. So this will take us from the spread out X-Men universe and then reuniting it under the brand new launched back then in the 90s, X-Men #1 by Claremont and Lee. And that is your spinner rack.
Wow, that is quite the spinner rack for this week. Okay. Now that we've talked about what is new, let's talk about what is ours. We have decided to create a storyline that mirrors the DC comic storyline of the greatest hero of all time, which, Chris, I think we're going to have to go through those numbers again. It was Legions of Superhero number 37 and 38, as well as Superman number something, and then
Superman number 8, I believe, and then Action Comics
like 359.
359 or 391.
391, that's right.
591. There we go. 591.
We were close.
Yep. So Legion of Superheroes 3738, Superman from Volume 2, Issue 8, and then Action Comics 591. So those 4 issues tell us the sad, tragic finale of Superboy.
So if you tune into last week, or if you'd like to go back and listen to that story, we give you the rundown on what that whole 4-issue story arc contains and what it is that how it restructured somewhat of the Legion going forward from that point, because the Legion kind of exists outside of the timeline, which with also knowing all of the timeline of the DC. Time Trapper is a very interesting villain for them, especially since they deal with time travel so much, because the book takes place in the future. So for it to be related back to us, they have to come back to the past a lot so that we are more interested in them. In that storyline, though, we get reconnected to the Superboy that they first visited back in, I don't know what year that comic book was published, Chris.
Not in 50s, early 50s.
The early 50s. So them getting to revisit the character that essentially was the reason why the Legion was created is a big pivotal story. So let's go ahead and get into the Marvel side of that story. Chris, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Okay, so we are making our own version of this. So I decided to challenge myself and look for a character who has a complicated history like Superboy. Superboy, as we've known him, was originally Kal-El, Clark Kent, and these were the adventures of him as a boy. But when DC restarted itself after the Great Crisis, John Byrne didn't feel Superboy was a worthwhile character because we know what's going to happen to him. He's not going to get killed. He's going to survive to grow up to be a man. So I looked at Marvel and I asked myself, who is a complicated character? And that's not too hard of a question to ask. But I was drawn to this one because it's actually... so Mitch knows me very well. I have my 7. I've always been fascinated by that number 7. I think it's a great number for a team. But this character almost made the cut. They definitely would have been... They'd be my number 8. And funny enough, I kind of consider them to be the Tim Drake of the Marvel Universe. But I'm looking towards Vance Astrovic, a.k.a. Justice. So Justice is quite the interesting character. We first meet him as Marvel Boy when he first appears in Giant Size Defenders number 5 all the way back in 1975. He was just kind of a pop-up hero here and there. And at the same time, they also had Vanstro Astrovic become the character Major Victory. And Major Victory makes his first appearance in Marvel Superheroes number 18, which is the same issue as the first appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy. No, not Chris Pratt, but it did feature Yondu, but he wasn't your daddy just yet. So in this case, I thought that would be great to play with this character. There's even a Marvel, like, what if or what though, where they play with the idea of these two characters meeting, because for some reason somebody messed up. It was like, yay, let's take this character and have them be the same thing. I think the thought process was, since Vance Astro appears first as Major Victory in 69, I think somebody decided to take Vance Astrovic and have him appear as a young mutant boy in the 1975 era, so that way he could grow up and become this character. So it was kind of a, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but a little bit of an homage to Superboy. So I thought this would be a neat one to play with. But in this tragic tale, it won't be the Superboy who gets destroyed. It'll be the Guardians, because the Guardians of the Galaxy, they've been around for a long time, as I mentioned before, all the way back to 1969. But nobody really cares about them. Like, if you look at their first promotional art, they look horrible. One guy is wide with a giant bowl for the head. The other guy looks like a giant crystal. You see the beginnings of Yondu. And the funny part is, on the far left of this group shot is Vance Astro, the character I like, but he does not look anything cool at all. He looks like a purple guy with blue arms. Eventually, they do redesign him to get that kind of Captain America look, but obviously that's because he's wielding the shield. But anyways, so let me address the questions first. So, who is the Legion, the team from the future? I plan on taking the Guardians of the Galaxy for that namesake because originally they were created to be a future set of heroes. Let's see, they were supposed to appear. Let me find a year. Yep, they appear in the year 25,000 plus. So we definitely see a lot of, what would that be, the 26th century?
Mm-hmm.
I always forget if it goes up or down, but anyway, so yeah, so they're well ahead in the future. So they will be my team that is inspired that way. They actually do take a little bit of inspiration from Captain America, so I thought that was kind of a neat homage to the Legion of Superheroes, referencing Superman. So my Superman in this case would be Major Victory, and then the Superboy would be his younger self, Justice. My Time Trapper. Now this is where I struggled, so I took the easy way out since I was going to take on a hard task. Kang the Conqueror. I figure with his nifty little abilities, he should be able to chop this branch of the timeline. So, how does it play out? Good question. Let's find out. So, I will take us to modern times where we have a young Vance Astrovic, and he is currently Justice of the New Warriors. Life is good. He's been a former Avenger. He helped train over at the Avengers Academy, so everything's fine. But all of a sudden, let's give him kind of one of those Michael J. Fox moments where he starts noticing, hey, my hand's vanishing. What's going on with me? Meanwhile, at that same point in the multiverse of time, Vance Astro, Major Victory, will be leading the Guardians of the Galaxy, but then all of a sudden we start noticing that he's phasing out, and eventually he just goes entirely away and the shield drops. So this prompts the Guardians of the Galaxy to wonder what happened to their leader. Where is he? Why is he gone? So as they do some research on this character, they start to discover that there is a counterpart to him living on Earth 616. So, you know, as you do with any superhero team, you go back and discover what's going on. So they come back to our time and team up with Justice. The moment the Guardians do arrive, obviously Justice will be kind of like, who are you people? You know, you kind of look like scary monsters. So we have to have our superhero fight just because that's how they did it even in the Legion story. So young Justice starts fighting them. But in this fight, the Guardians accidentally kill Justice. So they themselves, the Guardians, caused this ripple in time that they're trying to save. So that causes Kang to appear, and he's like, what are you guys doing? You know, you can't go back and step on butterflies or kill young mutant heroes. So the Guardians are scared. They don't know what they've done. So this is where Kang kind of works out the deal that the Time Trapper did. And he says, look, what I can do is I can prune your specific timeline and let you live on in your own pocket universe. So that way they could be Guardians of the Galaxy because, as they discovered in modern times, they don't have a Groot or a Rocket, so they're not as popular. So with that in mind, these Guardians basically have to work for Kang, and so Kang helps restore the timeline, brings Justice to life, which then brings Major Victory back to light. But now these Guardians of the Galaxy will wind up working for Kang, so I will change that Guardians of the Galaxy. Instead of just having them be stuck as the Pocket Universe, they'll be the Guardians of the Timeline. So that's how they'll live on. So their adventures will still be in continuity, but it was never a focus on space. It's a focus on time. So that way, when they teamed up with the Avengers for the famous Korvac saga, it still makes sense. You don't have to feel like your back issues were robbed of you. It's just, it was never about space. It was about time. And then Justice, well, hopefully he'll be a popular enough character that we will still be excited about his adventures, even though we know Major Victory is out there in the future. So that's my pitch. That's the story I would go for. I think I would like to call this the greatest guardian of space and time.
I like it. That's a good one. I mean, there's so much going on with the Guardians, so I love the fact that you have this storyline happening, and and bringing in King the Conqueror, obviously. I mean, yes, it's the time traveler that we all kind of expect, but there's a reason for that. He is the Marvel time traveler. He's the catalyst for so much. So I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. I figured he'd be. I mean, obviously, he's going to be very popular very quickly here. And when I think of characters, like, it's interesting because, like, I've been thinking on the side, and I was like, who would be a good DC version of Kang? So my mind initially went to Vandal Savage. But Vandal Savage lives through time. He can't decide to go back and forth. So I think that's what helps Kang kind of pop out from other time traveling characters, is that he is always going to be relevant, but unfortunately, because of his relevancy and people wanting to play with him, he has a ton of back issue baggage that's caused him to be other characters. But yeah, I like I said, he was the easy way out, but I think he'll be the worthwhile way out. And also, if this ever became a thing, it'll help sell. So, you can't hurt when you bring in an A-list character.
That's right. That's absolutely right. All right. Good choices there, Chris.
All right, so what about you, Mitch? What adventure will you be taking us on?
All right. So if you've listened to this show in the 207 issues that we've done so far, plus all the extras.
You let it slip. You said 700. That means you are a time traveler, Mitch.
Maybe. Just maybe. I am the time trapper in the story. No, in the 200 plus issues of our show that we've done, you have known that I am a big fan of the MC2. So we are going to Marvel 982, I believe is what they've designated that particular Marvel universe. And to do so, we're going to talk about the X People. That's who's my legion. The X People. It's the future version of the X-Men. I'm guessing nice. in the 90s they were trying to make it a little bit more inclusive. So instead of just being X-Men, they're X People, which was a great crew. I really enjoyed it. You had actually I don't remember too much of who actually was on the X People other than Jubilee was the leader of the group. You had
she finally grew up.
You had Simeon, if I remember, which I assume was a version of Beast, so to speak. You also had, I believe, a character named Punch on the team. Do you? Let me see if I can pull this up. X People.
The uncanny X People, right?
Yeah, X People Marvel. It's not, and of course it's not pulling up now. There we go. X People Marvel. Earth 982. Yeah, I was correct. You have Punch and let's see, members: Jubilee, Simeon, Angry Eagle, Torque, Spanner, and Push. Not Punch. Spanner, which seems kind of funny because isn't like Spanner just another word for wrench if you're overseas? But sure. These would be your Legion characters, and then they are going to, since the MCU already kind of exists in its own pocket universe, kind of the same way that Superboy existed in a pocket universe in the story that we had, they are going to be my Legion. They are going to go back in time, and they are going to interact with baby Spider-Girl of the MC2. Or not baby Spider-Girl, younger version. So you have Mayday Parker. But because of Strife, who has been messing around, yes, Strife, the clone of Cable, not necessarily has his own time travel powers, but Cable has them through technology. Why can't Strife have it, right? He has all the same powers of Cable, just no techno-organic virus. So I'm going to go ahead and say that he's able to time travel. He stole some equipment from Cable. He has been messing with the MC2 since the beginning. Maybe even created it himself. And because of Mayday Parker getting messed with at a young age, that's how we get the MC2. What was it? The what if Mayday Parker wasn't
Spider-Man's daughter?
It didn't die. Is that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah. So he created that, which then caused what was the new Spider-Girl's name? Anna May to be not created or created. So that's my Superman to this story is Anna May. We're going to have the two Spider-Girls team up, or Spinneret if you want to call Anna May Spinneret instead of Spider-Girl. But the two of them did show up together in the Spider-Girls shoot off of Spider-Geddon 2, I want to say, or is it just Spider-Geddon?
Oh gosh, it was. I think it was just Spider-Geddon.
Yeah, which was the second Spider-Verse story or something like that, right? Yeah. So then, yeah, the idea there is that instead of having to say goodbye to just Mayday Parker, our Spider Boy in the story, the whole MC2 dimension has to say goodbye. So we are going to have our Anna May say goodbye to what she is now considered a sister and another world that is something that she might have felt not more accepted into, but like the world that the MC2 exists in definitely embraces the mutants more than the version that we got in what was that storyline called? It was Renew Our Vows world. So because we had that one villain that killed just about everybody, right?
Yeah, Replicant or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Killing them and then stealing their powers.
So that would be my story. I mean, it's not too elaborate, but Strife being in there as an X-Men villain and the X people and seeing how that all turns out. I mean, I think I would love to see the last story of the MC2 be played out.
Well, I like this too because so that's the thing about Superboy that I think John Byrne didn't understand is it's not that Superboy was relevant. It's that Superboy was us. You know, that's the comic we want to read to feel closer to Superman. Superboy could make the mistakes. And again, when MC2 was out, we were younger. You know, this was definitely like, I think for us as fans, it was exciting to see the birth of a universe. You know, it's like, oh, cool. Like, you know, having that issue of What If is so exciting because I'm like, I have, you know, the first appearance of Mayday as a Spider-Woman. And I love the fact that, I like the fact that Strife could be part of the origins of this universe because having read X-Men: The Extinction Agenda, Strife is kind of a sad villain.
Okay.
He didn't ask for it, you know. He's sympathetic. It's like, hey, I just wanted to exist. And I think it's neat because Strife and Cable are, you know, the same person. It's just a series of events that change things. So I like the idea that Spider-Girl, Mayday, and Spinneret kind of play that too. So I think that could be some kind of like weird, twisted fun for Strife to be like, hey, I know exactly what one of you is going through, you know. Granted, that's probably more a Cable X-Man kind of thing.
True.
But it's still fun. And I mean, I don't know. The whole universe of MC2 is exciting. I do remember the X people. I wasn't because so it looks like they first appeared in the J2 book. So that wasn't one of the ones I was buying. I think I just bought the Avengers Next book because that's all I could afford at the time as a kid. But man, that was such a fun universe. It was exciting because when people would appear, something would happen, and you're like, oh, "Wait a second, you know, how did, why does Professor X wind up in a robot's body, or you know, whatever shenanigans they created?" So it was so cool. And then you'd have these characters, and you're like, "Well, how are they related?" You know, like obviously Simeon is, you know, beast-like. So the question is, okay, does he have any ties to Hank McCoy? So I think that would be fun. You'd get me to buy it because you've got the MC2 right there. It's like, okay, I want to see like what's going to happen. And especially if you're billing this as the last story where they're getting put in your pocket, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, you know, like this is something that would hit those heartstrings. It would definitely tug.
Well, I forgot to say my story, I guess, would be called The Hero's Time Forgot. But
Ooh.
we could definitely in 2023, which is 2 years from now would be the 25th anniversary of that storyline of the MC2. I think it's ripe for Marvel to do something with it. What do you think?
Oh yeah, that's perfect timing. So there you go. You've got to tag Tom DeFalco in this when we post this episode, because he has a lot. I mean, the man did a lot to help keep this book. So Tom DeFalco, Tom Bevrut, gentlemen, help us. By the power of two Toms, we want to make the MC2 universe live once again.
Who did write Renew Your Vows?
Oh, Renew Your Vows. I don't know. I can't
see.
I know that came out of Secret War.
It looks like
I don't remember who wrote it.
It looks like writer was Dan Slott. So I don't know. Get him involved too.
I'm sure he's down to play.
Yeah. Who else? Who would you love as a writer to see tackle the MC2 as a revival, or at least the last story of the MC2? Who's working right now? Please don't say Donny Cates. I love Donny Cates, but he just does too much already.
I was actually going to say Donny Cates, just because he has a history, though. Like when he comes in, he gives a depth to his characters.
Fair.
So it would be wild, But okay, I guess in that regard, I mean, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, I'd love to get those two guys. I hope. I wouldn't be overstepping my bounds, but it'd be great to reunite those two, because when they work together, they do magic. So that'd be kind of cool to get those two guys like, hey, let's mend the bridges and let's make some amazing comics. I think that would be great. I almost wanted to say Peter David, but then I remember what he did to Scarlet Spider, so I don't want to see that happen to my beloved MC2. And this is a wild card. I mean, I think of him more for DC, but he's got a soft spot in my heart. But it'd be kind of fun to say, what if Dan Jurgens came over?
Ooh, I could dig that. So then that's my story. Other than yourself, who would you love to see write the adventures, the further adventures of Vance Aktrovic?
So this one, I think I would really have to call, at least for sure, Dan Abnett, just because they did a book called Guardians 3000. If I remember correctly, I think Dan Abnett was a part of it. I don't know if it was Andy Lanning as well, but those two could really get onto it. And if not, I would really love to have Don. You mentioned him earlier, but Dan Slott. I think he would be great to come in and just like, okay, I'll buckle my seatbelt, but everything is let loose. Let's see what happens. What does this guy do? So I think that would be really fun to see him play in that universe.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. Those are our two stories, our versions of the next, or our versions of the hero, the greatest hero of all time, told by DC Comics in the Marvel universe. If you have a better story or a different story, or you want to talk to us about any of the comic books things that we talked about today, please come find me on Twitter. I am at Mitchipedia GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Chris, where can people find you online?
You can definitely find me on Twitter as well. My handle is Stuff I Should Say, should being spelled SHUD. And then check out geekelitemedia.com for my writings, as well as AIPTcomics.com for my reviews.
The rest of Geek Elite Media is at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. As Chris mentioned, check out our website, geekelitemedia.com, for archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our network. Check out our Patreon page. Chris and I did a whole rundown of episode 2 of Loki that is available only to our patrons. So please, patreon.com/Geek Elite Media. And if you listen to us on a podcatcher,
for an extra $10.
Yes.
I was going to say, and for an extra $10, Mitch and I will come over and directly explain it to you.
And if you listen to us as a podcast, whatever podcatcher you use, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network. Next week, we are going to be starting our Black Widow month because a Black Widow movie is supposedly finally coming out. So if you want to get...
That's right. Check your multiverse, fans.
If you want to get ahead of it, come listen to us next week. But until then... This is Imagine If on the Geek Elite Media Network saying always remember to geek out.
Geek out.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.